Call the order, Planning Commission for Wednesday, August 20th, 2025. Roll call, please. Rod Anderson.
Present.
Gerard Bachman.
Present.
Bill Warner.
Here.
Randall Ryder.
Present.
Candace Collins.
Here.
And Tim Desario. Thank you, Tim. All right, with that said, we're going to move on to approval of May 21st, 2025 meeting minutes. I'll take a motion, please.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Any corrections, comments, or changes? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Great. Before we open the public hearing, I want to make one statement. The fact that the Planning Commission is a voluntary position that has been appointed by the village that are from our village board, which are elected officials. With any request, the Planning Commission collects, researches, and makes a recommendation to the village board. With that said, I'll take a motion for the opening up the public hearing.
So moved.
For the first one, which is going to be the petition by the Wisconsin Development LLC to rezone 8506 Street North, Hudson, Wisconsin, from C3 Industrial Commercial to RM High Density Multifamily Residence. Approved once. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're open to a public hearing. With that said, I please encourage you to come up to the mic, announce your name, your address, and please limit it to a 2-minute conversation. Try not to repeat anything somebody prior had stated. Please avoid any comments of clapping, cheering, or anything like that. We want to keep this in a civil activity so we can get through this. But I'm sure we're going to have a lot of people, of course, commenting on this tonight. So let's go with that. Any public hearing comments on the first petition for the rezoning of 8506 Street North from C3 Industrial Commercial to RM High Density Multifamily Residence?
Can you show what that is, Tim? Sorry.
The location of approximately where it's at?
Because I don't understand what this map is.
That's not it.
Okay, then that should be a.
Across the street from
Yeah.
Quick Trip.
You could shut that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Then
Across the street from
I'll
Quick
say
Trip.
It's the
something
open lot that's across from the Quick Trip on the west side of Highway 35 going north. It's at one,
actually not across from the Quick Trip.
No, but it's-
across from the fireworks store. on the-
exactly. It was the appropriate place at one time to be commercial for a grocery store at one
Right,
time.
yes, yes.
So that's the location.
Okay. So my name is Tracy Whiteley, and I live at 317 Station Lane North. And I want to say that I am against the change from commercial to multi-residential, mainly because there are issues with access to that property from 35. Highway 35 is a state road, so it's impossible to get, direct access. And then that corner where Station Lane North is not set up to allow for the increase in traffic. So I would vote against rezoning without a lot of planful discussion. Excuse me. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Anyone else? Comments on that? Len? Please state your name and your address, please.
My name is Len Meissen. I live at 226 Station Lane North in the village of North Hudson. My first question is, if you're going to go from C3 to RM2, wouldn't that be considered spot zoning?
No.
And why not?
Well, I think the adjoining properties are zoned residential.
They're zoned residential, yes, residential single family
For
and residential two-family, but none of them are residential multifamily.
It's not spot zoning.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah,
Because I doubt that.
well,
Thank you, Len. Duly noted. Anyone else on that? Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Jen Walter. I live at 202 7th Street North, and I want to agree with Tracy for the reasons that she said, why that would not be a good choice to make that multi-dwelling as opposed to single-family houses. Thank you.
Thank you. Jen? Anyone else? Please go.
We're the guys that are, that bought that property.
Good, step
So
right
my
on
question is, do you want us to go up there and?
Certainly, it's a
introduce
public
ourselves?
hearing, it's a public hearing. Well, yep, go ahead. You have to go up there, though, of course.
I'll wait for this gentleman.
My name is Rob Howard, 15 Riverside Drive North. Well, nice to see you. Sat on the planning commission for many years and planning. Oh, from my perspective, density is not a bad thing, especially on the main corridor, on the busy corridor that Highway 35 is. Density, and especially in our village, in that respect, that would not be bad. So, and to serve seniors in that multi-unit, which I believe is the intention, was that?
He'll come up to talk,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Say her name too, or?
Please do. Obviously, you don't have an address here, but
Yeah.
please do.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tom Toy. I'm from Eau Claire, and my partner and I, Idris Sabani, he's over there, and we bought the property in an auction with intent for multifamily, 2 small buildings that would hold approximately 30 residents each, and we would do all the bring it into engineering and architects that it would, fall under the guidelines and stuff that we'd have to approve through the city of North Hudson here. So I just want to introduce myself and say it would be a very nice project, and we've built this stuff before, and it works.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, too. Oh.
I'm Roger Beavers, 419 Murchak Circle North. I've lived in North Hudson since 1975, and in my profession, I did a lot of development work in North Hudson, the city, St. Croix County. I did title work on the property, and little activity in that in stop time. And everybody talks about the traffic that may accumulate, but that comes with progress. And a lot of residential development, and I was in business for 35 years, and I did most of the title work on all this stuff. That comes with the program. And so you talk about the extra traffic that you're going to have, it's going to be minimal, really. You're looking at a senior housing. Okay, I dealt with my parents in a senior housing, and you may go up there once or twice a week. You're not going there every day. So I really believe that North Hudson does not have, quote unquote, a business district. And we don't have a commercial area. So I honestly believe that with putting the use of that property as an assisted living, which was a great need for this whole area, is proper. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Anyone else?
Can I go up one more time?
You certainly can. Jen, yep. You press to remember your name?
Yeah, still Jen Walter at 202 7th Street North. So I'm not opposed to progress. I think that's fine, but I am concerned about the traffic. And
Yep.
I'm sorry, I'm not opposed to progress, but I do wonder about the traffic. And for those of us who live on 7th Street North and have to get on 6th Street in order to go anywhere most of the time, it has become a problem. And if people would drive 25 miles an hour, you can then get on, but most people don't. And so it can become tricky. So if indeed is this assisted living, I wasn't sure what it was, so that is helpful. But still, traffic does need to be addressed, and then what is the plan? Will there be stoplights? As it, goes down toward this area? Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Can I speak again?
Yep.
Sorry. Tom Toy again here. Be clear here that our intent here is to be multifamily, not assisted living. Assisted living was another idea. We have a facility in River Falls. So just to
So
make sure.
it's senior living, what's age enough?
I didn't say senior living. I said multifamily.
So it's not, and you're talking about
This is
60 units in 2 buildings? Is that what you're saying?
2 buildings, 30 units apiece.
And how high are these? I mean, it's
We
hard
got
to.
it.
It would go all through planning and meet the development of what would be required from the,
If you want to ask, can you go up, because they can't hear you, see you. This is being recorded on TV, so you need to go up there and do that. And you can stand up there and ask them, but, just a general question, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
stand back here.
I'm Barb Coffey. I live at 560 Summers Landing Road North, which is on the opposite corner of that block where that was. We've gone through this in 2008 when we think that it was appropriate for a grocery store, which it was not back then. I find it hard to vote on rezoning when we don't know what this even looks like. When there was a grocery store, there was issue of access to 35, which the state denied 2 different times, with and without lawyers, for Dean Hansen. I just don't know how you get 60 multifamily units in that small parcel of land without changing. We were told all kinds of things with this grocery store. Road widening, stoplights, all this. Nothing was going to happen with that. I'm not afraid against progress either, but that seems almost as extreme as the 26,000 square foot grocery store they were going to put on that property. I see you're smiling, so you know about that. That's a large building on that property, and I can only imagine that 2 buildings with 30 units is also going to take up a lot of spots. And I want to know what, how do you know what kind of buffer is going to be to my backyard? And if you can't get access onto 35, a lot of questions to be asked before you would vote on rezoning.
Yep, step up, please.
Thank you. Mimi Fair, 239 Station Lane North. And just on a daily basis going in and out of 35, I will tell you, especially since that new bike path was put in, you're looking north for cars, you're looking north for bikes on the other side of the road, which come across, get on the bike path to go on our side of the road. They don't stop at the stop signs. So I have run into several bikes that come across that. They don't even see that I'm coming up to the stop sign or at the stop sign. They just blow right through. And it's just, I cannot imagine. And if there are 30 units, many people have 2 cars. So you multiply that and, we're not 60 cars, but we're probably 120 cars, possibly, 60. So at any rate, I'm very much opposed to this. I think the additional traffic would be horrendous. Thank you.
Ken, okay, sorry.
Ken Murchak, live at 415 Murchak Circle, but I own a place at Sandpoint Hill, right next to the property. My question is 2.47 acres. So it's 4,000 square feet per unit. So doing the math, that only goes up to 26 units. So how can you get an RM-3 660 units when you're only allowed 26?
Thank you, Ken. Anyone else? You can both make your way up.
I'm Michelle Drevnick, and I live at 539 Galahad Road. And my brother and myself are the owners of the Lake Malibu Apartments and Willow River Apartments. And I wasn't expecting to speak about this tonight, but I would like to say that we have two 36-unit buildings and one 40-unit and a fourplex. And I have never heard any problems at all about traffic or too many cars or any complaints at all about our buildings. And so if these guys are planning two 30-unit buildings, I don't think that's going to be a big problem. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Michelle.
Okay, well, I'll say something to that then too. Because the access road to where the apartments would have access to is a big deal. So St. Croix Street is long and it has a nice, access to 35, and there are mainly just apartments along that south side. So it fits there, but it would not necessarily fit where the traffic patterns are different, and there would be no direct access to 35. That's all.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
You might have exceeded 2 minutes already, but I'm just kidding.
I'm Gloria Mariana, and I live at 552 Summers Landing Road, and my property, I'm Barb's next door neighbor. I echo a lot of her questions, and I have a lot of questions too. I just don't know, because we don't know what it's going to look like or what they're proposing, so it's kind of hard to have a lot of the questions that I have addressed. But as far as the road, there's kids that ride their bikes on that road. There are people that walk their dogs on that road. It is hard to get out onto 35, and the cars do go faster than 45 and drop down to 35. Last night, I just got passed with my signal light on to turn right to go home by a kid passed me on the right because I was slowing down. So I think it is going to be a problem. So I do have other questions for you. I just don't know if this is the time.
This is not appropriate at this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, though.
So
Yeah,
I just
right.
wanted to let you know that I'm a property owner.
Thank you, Marion.
Good evening. Thank you for the audience here tonight with your concerns. My name is Timothy Higgins, and I live at 355 Station Lane, which is the first house on the right as you enter Station Lane. There are so many unanswered questions. We don't even see a picture of what these buildings are going to look like, what the infrastructure changes to the road are going to look like. Are the developers going to be the ones taking care of the expense of all the changes to the infrastructure on the corner if this does move forward? I have found traffic in my neighborhood where I am, where I actually have to stop at the end of my driveway and wait for traffic to pass my driveway to get onto Station Lane. I have seen the same thing that Mimi Fair has seen with the bicycles just come crashing through. Someone's going to get hurt there. There's just way too many things that are unanswered about this whole entire project. I can't imagine how you're going to put 60 apartments in that space. It just is not the right thing at all whatsoever.
Thank you, Timothy. Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, please do.
Go ahead.
You can both come up there, yeah? Makes it quicker.
Corey Broads, 345 station. I live next to Tim. So, you know, we've lived here, we moved here about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago from Minneapolis. And multi-housing definitely becomes an issue, uptick in crime, traffic, all the other things. It's not progress. It's stuffing a small or a large building in a small footprint. And so, you know, no offense to you guys, you're in the business, but if you want me to park a 60-unit building next to your house, just straight across from it, I mean, just think about that. That's just just the whole thing about changing North Hudson, putting that 60-unit in, the traffic uptick, my kids are out there playing. And so I feel like this is a little bit a shock as far as what that land is being used for. It should be returned to green space and just leave it. North Hudson should buy it, maybe put a path through it, allow people to walk through it, nature. That way we preserve some green space and our houses aren't impacted by the overall value. Not to mention, when I have a house in Minneapolis that I own. I have a senior living, not that it's going to be senior living, but 4 blocks out, and there's an ambulance call probably every hour on the hour coming in, up just constantly. So we're going to get that. Fire trucks, going to get that. And so those are the things that bring what I call sort of small town, big city atmosphere to North Hudson, which is the other side. And so that's really all I had to say, but I hope you guys reconsider on, sort of what the purpose of this land will be. If it would have been so overpriced, I would have purchased the lot myself, but they kept sitting on it at $400K. I was like, it's not worth it. But maybe to you guys it is.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Yep.
Hi, my name is Pat Coffey, 560 Somers Landing Road North. Again, it's in our backyard. I guess I know we're not supposed to reiterate things, but speed on 35 is one that needs to be considered about that. How many stories is this going to be? That was never stated yet, and we're basically voting on something that we don't know what it's going to look like or any information about it other than multifamily 2 buildings. I'm kind of having flashbacks to 2008 right now because that was the one big thing that the developer at that time is, well, let's just pass it and then we'll worry about trying to deal with it after the fact. And that was the big concern for us, and it didn't ultimately work out there. But that's I guess the biggest concern that I have is we're going to rezone it and then we're going to find out what it's supposed to look like. I would like to have all that information up front prior to doing the voting on it, I guess is the thing. Because once it gets changed, it goes through almost the act of Congress to get it changed back if that's the case. I don't feel that if it does get this change, it is going to be changed back to commercial. So I just want to make sure that everything is put in its place and what is it going to look like before we're gung-ho on making the changes.
Thank you, Pat. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'd like to address some of these questions a little bit. So what we're asking for is a rezone. And then after the rezone, we go to work and design what the buildings would look like. Then they got to come back here and get approved. We're not coming in to build something that's not going to work. It will work, and it will be attractive, and it'll have good curb appeal, and it'll go with the requirements and regulations or that was with for the infrastructures to the for the road, busyness, all the above. So just want to say that.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Please limit to a minute, please. Thank you.
It's funny how the fate of my property has to be limited to this much time. Is this low income? What's the parking look like? What about the infrastructure? North Hudson barely has a good infrastructure. We're in the city of Hudson for a lot of stuff. how is that all gonna work? I'm with a lot of these other people. I don't know how you can rezone something, not that I like it commercial, but trust us, we'll be back. If this goes through and you do it, we'll be back at other meetings.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Yes.
Please limit the time.
Yeah, when it was turned from a conservancy to a C3 back in 2008, there was a huge concern about fire safety for that property as a commercial property because it didn't have a perpendicular access for fire trucks and emergency vehicles. And you're basically putting this situation where you have 60 apartments with a fire in there could very well be impossible for the appropriate emergency equipment to service that area and remain safe for the people that may even be living there. But then the infrastructure changes to the road just don't fit.
All right. Hearing has been closed.
Perception of what this was and finding out we really don't know what it is based on what we know so far. We just know they want to rezone it to put 32 buildings with 30 units in it. The perception
And the reason for the current focus is on developing 2 unit interest in multifamily housing. On the our website, and this is exactly what we all got for planning commission, so I just want to make people aware of that. We don't know the plans, and that's not the process right now to do that. The process is to look at the actual zoning and what it is. The proposal is to change the zoning. All the other activity starts happening afterwards. As you all, some of you stated the fact, they come back with their plans. At any point, it could be challenged, if you will, but I'm just letting you all aware that we're here tonight for one reason only, is changing the zone. And in defense of the developer, why would he go through all that activity if he couldn't get the zoning changed? All the efforts in that activity, so you have to understand where he's coming from on that side of it. And what we have here is exactly what you all should have gotten off the website, and that's exactly what we're looking at here tonight, so. Anything else from the planning commission?
I would just say that the C3 zoning, in my understanding, is less restrictive than would be if you switch to multifamily. In other words, you can see higher traffic volumes coming into the site for commercial, could be a strip center, could be an office building, could be a hardware store, could be a multitude of different uses that is currently zoned for. So going to multifamily could actually reduce potential traffic in the future based on what the current zoning is now.
Yeah, and that's a good, thank you, Bill. And under our ordinances, there is definitely a definition of how, as far as the multifamily residential district, RM1, RM2, and RM3. I strongly encourage you people to go out and look at that, kind of details the different requirements and what's coming up here tonight, even possibly the next one too. But Ken brought up the good point about the 4,000 square footage. That's one of the things that lists under that RM3, but there's other options too that kind of go around that. But I strongly encourage you to go look at our ordinances. Easy to find it. Just go right to our website and it's there. Land use spot zoning, I mean, I'll rely on our legal side of it, but I feel that it's worth it.
Also, I think if you look at the comprehensive plan, there's language in there that says that that parcel could be entertained as multifamily.
Yep. It does say that. 1979, as Roger stated, that's how long this thing has been sitting there unused. I can tell you, oh, I'm sorry, we're closed, sorry, it is a closed hearing now, sorry.
Yeah, I was on the last plan commission, it wasn't 1979.
Well, it's, what the state was, the fact is, it's been over several years that this land has been sitting there vacant. Let's just put it that way. I won't put a date on it, then thank you. I mean, there's opportunity. The village runs lean, people. It runs very lean. And look at your mill rate. We're the lowest mill rate in the area. And we still have to pay for a lot of activities that we do in this village that services you people, from police to our internal people. And where I'm going with this fact is, this is an opportunity to take a vacant land that's been there for several years that brings levy back into our village to keep our services as we have it. Or keep the mill rate as we have it. I'm not in favor of either one of these. I'm just telling you the fact is that's the point that I need to make based on a lot of activity. I've been a trustee for 7 years and I know how this government works here and looking at my taxes. So I'm just keeping you aware. The fact is that there are other villages, other cities have a lot higher mill rate than we have, and they provide the same services. So, any other comments?
To me, it was surprising to learn that how much of an impact the traffic will have, and what obvious changes will have to happen.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Continuing through the corridor up the hill past Edgewood.
Yep.
You're gonna have to incorporate Edgewood turn into all this with reducing speed at that point. So, yeah, I mean, my perspective now is that there are a lot of details that, we don't know, so. But I do appreciate everybody that's been coming to, give their input both for and against.
The village has passed the flashing lights across that intersection down there that's gonna be installed, but I still don't think that's enough. I still don't think it's enough to slow any traffic down.
Can you repeat that again?
The village has passed to put flashing lights for crossing there.
Where?
At that stagecoach across 35 into Carmichael, is it, wherever, or right there, at that intersection. Cratley,
And
right there.
Station Lane.
Yep. To cross 35, they have passed that. Once again, it's a county, flashing cross lights, the yellow ones. Keep in mind, that's a county road. State road. So, we are in mercy with the state there.
So you have a couple options. You can vote to recommend, you're only recommending to the board and move it on that way. You can recommend approve, you can recommend deny. And if you think you don't have enough information to make a decision, you can request more information and wait for a month.
Personally, I would prefer to table this and give it some extra time and thought and get maybe more information. I'm not against it. I just agree that there's not a lot of information out there. So
I think for the benefit of the applicant, the Plan Commission should give them some direction as to what sort of information you're looking for.
I agree.
I can tell you what I'm looking for. There's a big difference between a memory care unit and an apartment building. A memory care building, to me, is gonna have no traffic to speak of. It's gonna create jobs in the community. Not that apartments are bad, it's a whole different dynamic than a memory care or a assisted living facility. And that's where I struggle with understanding, if it's a memory care unit or a assisted living, that's a totally different picture from my perspective than apartment buildings.
And a need that we don't really fulfill in the village currently. We have a lot of multifamily.
And we had talked about that in the plan.
Anything else? I'll entertain a motion. Is that your motion? Well, yeah.
That is
okay.
my motion. My motion is to table this until we get more information, studies, maybe a drawing, some type of rendering so that we know what this looks like and the impact that it might impose on the community.
Okay. I'll take a second.
I'll second.
Any further discussion on this?
I'd just like to say, if, as part of the information we'd like to have is if it's gonna be apartments, if it's gonna be assisted living, if it's gonna be memory care, what it's gonna be. I think that's critical information to know.
Anyone else?
Yeah, greater detail, square footage of units, kind of, you know, the layout, is there gonna be stacking capabilities within the, you know, confines of the site that are gonna allow for traffic flow on the station lane, is, you know, kind of the more details with, for us to take a look at.
I agree. Anyone else?
I agree with that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Against? All right, that has passed for tabling. Thank you guys for attending, appreciate it. At least you got some of the information from that. And thank public for all your input.
Yeah, thanks.
With that said, I'll open up the public hearing for a petition by Railroad Properties of Hudson LLC, Bruce Lenzen, for rezoning of PIN 161-1070-20-002 and PIN 161-1070-20-003 in the Village of North Hudson from industrial commercial to /conservancy to RM1, which is low-density multifamily residence. This parcel is partially described as part of the northwest quarter of the northwest quarter and the southwest quarter of the northwest corner of Section 24 and Government Lot Section of 23, all in the Township 29 North, Range 20 West, Village of North Hudson, St. Croix County, Wisconsin.
And one thing you should add is if there was written comments that were submitted, those should be included in the public record.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll take a motion to go into to open public hearing.
Make a motion.
Take a second.
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? All right, we are in open public hearing for the Railroad Properties of Hudson LLC. Mr. Lenzen, I believe. You have more detailed information, let's go.
Okay, I'm Bruce Lenzen. I'm the owner of the Railroad Properties of Hudson. Basically, just so everyone is understanding, this is Wisconsin Street. This is the south parcel, the north parcel. And down here's Galahad. And in the middle is the dam. And on the south side there, which is off of Bridge Street, this is the area in red is all that we're discussing here today. This is about the rezoning of the parcel in red that I own that is currently zoned on the north side, commercial industrial, and the south side is under conservancy. I'm proposing this to convert it to RM1, which is no density, multifamily, residential, basically residential process. The purpose of this is to allow these parcels, the adjoining parcels on the north side are right now RM1, adjacent properties here. And I'm following through with that type of zoning at this time, is what my request is. The property in green, just for clarity, is owned by the 4 municipalities in this area of the county, City of Hudson, Village of North Hudson, and there's one other township of Hudson, I think. Okay. I understand the benefits of this is that it's going to be
proposal here is in this rezoning is to already here. This is going from the existing zoning that we have right now. Revenue from converting this from commercial, industrial to residential use is going to create a much higher property tax. That's what's good for the village of North Hudson. And it's good for the county, it's good for the school district. Substantial increase, and you're familiar with the type of housing that I've been doing for 40 years. Everything that I'm planning on doing here, as once we get through the zoning, this particular thing, this has to happen. In order for me to plan that will be what I'm dreaming of, and a lot of people what I'm hoping to see happen here. But this is the first step that needs to happen. So that was my request. So I have to say thank you.
Please state your name and your address. And 2 minutes, some have left. Maybe I'll give you 3. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening. My name is Michael Swenson. I'm the president of the East Bank HOA that abuts this property. Hopefully you've gotten my letter that I sent out on Monday, and hopefully had a chance to read it. I'll give you a little bit of a summary of that. Obviously, we've got a lot of opinions, even in our association, what to do, and this letter tries to give you a medium view of what we're feeling. There may be other speakers later that have different views. I draw your attention to items 1 and 2 from my letter. Those are really the key issues that make us request a pause. We and others have looked at purchasing this property over the years, and always the nettlesome part is the trestle bridge. We are of the opinion that ultimately, with this development, that bridge will need to be removed. So if anybody is considering that as part of the plan, we have serious doubts that that will occur unless we get some firm commitment and details about that. It's just, at the end of the day, it's just economics. We've been through it, we've looked at it in detail. The second point is akin to what was addressed at with the last property. This property is going to be very tight if it tries to accomplish all the goals that are set forward. And again, we also don't think it can be done. And so at the end of the day, if you really put paper to pencil and look at it, look at the spacing and stuff, and so if anybody is assuming that all these things can be done, we believe that is incorrect. And most likely what will happen at the end of the day is this will be very nice housing, absolutely sure of that. But these other elements will likely not be there. And so I request, again, everybody's talking about more study, which is a problem, but really focusing on that bridge, and then can we get everything in there? So thank you for your comments. And I didn't mention, I live at 216 East Bank Court North. And
Thank you.
East Bank.
Yep. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Celeste Cobrell. I live at 870 Strawberry Drive in the town of Hudson, across the lake from the village of North Hudson. We've had our home on the lake for 32 years. I also sent in written comments, and I hope that you have read them, and I hope that you have looked at the attachments that accompanied them. The main problem with the request to rezone the south parcel, and that's what I'm going to talk about. I urge you to deny the request to rezone the south parcel from Conservancy to RM1. And that goes back to something your attorney mentioned earlier today, which is that your zoning is supposed to be by state law consistent with your adopted comprehensive plan. Your adopted comprehensive plan is the one from 2006 to 2026. You're in the process of wanting to update it, but you haven't adopted or amended your existing plan. So that rules. That comprehensive plan designates that south parcel as being Parks Conservancy, which is what it is zoned now. Right now, you have consistency. If you rezone it, you will create an inconsistency. And what the Wisconsin law says about that, according to the Wisconsin Department of Administration, is that key to the comprehensive planning laws and implementation is the consistency requirement, a requirement for consistency between the local government's comprehensive plan and changes to its zoning, subdivision or land division, and official mapping ordinances. If a local government with an outdated plan wants to zone land, for example, it must first go through the public hearing process to update its comprehensive plan. That's a time-consuming process. If the local government proceeds without an updated comprehensive plan, a citizen or organization can bring a lawsuit to void the action because it lacks consistency with a valid comprehensive plan. So please just understand that if you rezone the south parcel, you are creating very serious risks for the village. Now, as a practical matter, that whole south parcel is in the flood zone. You have urged people to look at the village ordinances. The Village of North Hudson has an excellent floodplain zoning ordinance. It prohibits, flat out, all habitable structures in an area that is a flood zone. This is mapped as a flood zone in your comprehensive plan. It's mapped as a FEMA flood hazard zone AE. Your floodplain zoning says you can't put houses there. Another practical matter is that on the other side, on the St. Croix side, we have the dam that makes Lake Malilu. The only land access to that parcel, which is owned 50% by the county, 20% by Village of North Hudson, 20% by City of Hudson, and 10% by Town of Hudson, is across the south parcel. If you build houses there, the only way to get to the dam when it needs major repairs, and it will eventually have to be removed and replaced, will be to bulldoze down those houses. That doesn't seem like very smart planning. So for those very practical reasons, and plus the south parcel is mapped in your comp plan as being an environmental corridor where there's not supposed to be any development that disrupts it. It is mapped as being habitat for endangered species, which is supposed to be protected. It is mapped as having steep slopes, which are supposed to be protected. It is also mapped as being wooded and forest land, which is supposed to be protected. That's all in your existing comp plan. I went through your comp plan section by section. And finally, frosting on the cake, you have an intergovernmental cooperation element in your comp plan. That means you're supposed to talk to Hudson. You're supposed to talk to the county. You're supposed to talk to the town of Hudson. All of the adopted comp plans, including yours, say that that is land that should be turned into a park and eventually a trail connection. And if you build houses on it, you've defeated that. So please do not rezone the south parcel.
Thank you, Celeste.
I second Celeste's comments. My name is Tom Palmer. I live at 122 East Bank. I've lived there for 17 years. I'm considered a group of people called concerned homeowners. And we object to the request railroad properties for the following reasons. This project will have a negative impact on the nearby property owners. If you look at the comprehensive plan, it talks about that. This project will have a negative impact on Lake Malilu and the St. Croix waterways. And the impact that this is going to have should be studied before considering this rezone. This project will create additional traffic issues at the corner of Galahad, Wisconsin Street, which now has a sign that says dangerous intersection. By the way, I think the trestle can be improved as a bridge to incorporate into future bike path. And that seems to make a lot of sense to a lot of people here in this room. And today we sent you a fairly comprehensive list of issues. I sent it to Gina. Did you all
We
see
got it.
this?
Yep, yep, we have.
So,
Thank you.
okay, so thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
I saw Gina in the room earlier. Is she still available?
No, she's not. She went home.
Is there a way that I can get an image that I sent to her on the screen?
No, I don't think so.
Clear kind of color graphic.
Well,
but that's no big deal. I'll just describe. I'll just make a commentary. Good evening, everyone. I spoke briefly earlier, but this multi-family housing, planning, and design. I worked on countless stress sites with complex housing challenges. In all these situations, the guiding question we might commonly ask is, what is the highest and best use for the site? In this case, my sense here is the best use is to dedicate this area as a public amenity. For decades, the old railroad right-of-way has sat unused along the St. Croix River. As a long time, since 1991, resident of North Hudson, I've traversed the Malibu Bridge uncountable times. On nearly every drive over the bridge, while looking west, I've dreamed of access over the now decrepit trestle bridge and public access to the glorious St. Croix River. In conjunction with the city, county, and village properties, this area could be a benchmark feature of the St. Croix Valley. This would be a regional magnet. The area has a complex collection of ownership. The difficulty of moving 3 public entities of ownership along a common path has resulted in the railroad selling the area to a private developer, who's nice to meet you, Railroad Properties of Hudson, LLC. We are now faced with a housing developer wanting to turn this parcel into housing. In my personal and professional opinion, the land is too narrow, too close to the river, as stated, and bound by environmental rules that make development for this use costly and impractical. Instead, we have a rare chance to do something better for everyone, not unlike the great planning efforts of the past, thinking Minneapolis Chain of Lakes, Lakefront Park in Hudson, and so many other great public spaces that come to mind. This isn't just a trail, it's a public access to the Lower St. Croix National Riverway, a national treasure. It's a kids biking the trail, families walking at sunset, and local shops seeing more customers. It's health, history, and community all rolled into one. To restore the Trestle Bridge as a walking and biking path that would connect North Hudson to Hudson, develop the area to a regional destination park, link to regional trails, and finally give people a safe, scenic way to reach the St. Croix without a car, is my estimation the highest and best use of that property. Let's not let this chance slip away. Let's ensure the river belongs to everyone. Thank you.
You're up.
I'm going to hand out a couple things to the.
I'm gonna have to use the restroom.
So we'll have copies. Just take one, pass along. There's extras there.
Thank you, Rob.
Hi, my name is Will Jenkins, 607 Cedar Drive North here in North Hudson. I'm here on behalf of myself as a village resident, but also on behalf of Wild Rivers Conservancy and its membership throughout the village of Hudson Town and city of Hudson and St. Croix County. I'm here to voice my opposition for rezoning this land, echoing most of the statements that other folks have presented, and believe that, as the last speaker said, the highest and best use of this property is not that of multifamily housing. Especially in consideration of the southern section there, and believe it should be preserved as part of the St. Croix National Scenic Riverway. I'll also defer some of my time to Einar Hansen, who is a Board of Directors member of Wild Rivers Conservancy and can speak to more of the legal matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Will.
Einar Hansen, 716 Vine Street. I've handed out some excerpts from your code, from the Wisconsin Administrative Code, and from the Wisconsin statutes. I just want to walk through these to point out why it is that rezoning the south portion would be a very bad idea. First of all, as Celeste pointed out, consistency is important. And consistency with your own zoning ordinance is very important. You have an overlay district that applies to this southern portion. And the reason you have that is because it's been mandated by the Wild and Scenic Rivers Act. And you then passed 98-151, which echoes much of what is in the Wisconsin Administrative Code and our 118. And let me read to you the purpose, which is on the first page of what I handed out to you. You can follow along with me. It says that the purpose of this overlay district is to, among other things, guarantee the protection of the wild, scenic, and recreational qualities of the rivers for present and future generations. These rules are intended to reduce the adverse effects of overcrowding and poorly planned shoreline and bluff area development, to preserve and maintain the scenic beauty of the shoreland and bluffs above the river, to prevent pollution and the contamination of surface and groundwaters, and to provide sufficient space on lots for sanitary facilities to minimize flood damage, and to preserve and maintain the exceptional scenic, cultural, and natural characteristics of the water and related land of the lower St. Croix Riverway in a manner consistent with the National Wild and Scenic Rivers Act. This is your own zoning ordinance. What you're being asked to do tonight is completely contrary to that. You have a conservancy district that is consistent with what you have as a purpose for this overlay district. If you changed it now, you would no longer be consistent with your own ordinance. And allow me to point out a very practical, this is an overarching reason. Now let's go to the practicalities. As you know, this southern piece of land is very narrow. And if you go to the third page, if you just turn the page over, you'll see a highlighted portion on the third page. Among other things, when it comes to the important zoning decisions you would have to make if you rezone this, you are going to make yourself in a terrible box. For one reason, it would be because all homes have to be at least 100 feet from the ordinary high water mark. How is that possible in this portion? It's not. It literally is not. So what you're setting yourself up for is for the same developer to come in front of you and ask for variances. And you don't have no right to enter under the factors that you have to follow a variance for this land. So both on a purpose and practical standpoint, you simply should not box yourself in by rezoning this, because it's going to cause you terrible problems later on. And the last page has to do with whether you could even grant such a variance. In the last page, if you look on the very last of this, the yellow part, this is under Wisconsin Statute 30.27. Wisconsin Statute 30.27 says that you may not grant a variance without the written consent of the Wisconsin DNR. And I cannot imagine them giving you that consent under these circumstances. So I ask you, please do not rezone the southern portion.
Thank you, Kenner.
Colleen O'Brien Berglund. I live at 303 Helen Street North. And I can't really add too much to what Celeste and I was on the board, the park board, in the early 2000s when we first started talking about doing the bike path and buying the property and making the trestle bridge and a nice park down there. And the St. Paul or the St. Croix Bike and Pedestrian Coalition has work getting things started to connect with the loop trail. As you know, you've already got the path on the north end of Hudson, and the plan originally was to go down through that parcel across the Trestle Bridge and through to Hudson. So I would definitely disagree with rezoning this to the housing for all of the reasons that the others stated.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mary Beth Matai again, 210 7th Street North. And the reason
I would echo all their comments, is I served, as you all are, on the Plan Commission for a number of years. And I also served on the National Scenic Riverway, working on that. And and then other people came after me, and consistently throughout time, we've had the same echoes of citizens coming to the public boards and saying, this is what we want. And one of the wonderful things about the Plan Commission, we would have to listen to citizens and really try and work out what seems best, not just for the moment and not just for, and I don't mean petty concerns like individual people's are petty, but trying to get the general feel of what the whole village wants for the future, and to try and have not so much division and to work things out. And so consistently throughout this, and I also worked on the last plan, the last comprehensive plan. So I have listened consistently, like Pepperfest. That's all citizen run, you know, wonderful. It's that kind of citizen participation that has been happening on the bike path. And you don't have this many people generally for meetings like this. And I think that we really have to listen, and to listen to all the previous zoning, the previous laws, the national law, and to recognize that when you do the right thing in preserving land, you build the economy that way. Just like arts groups build the economy. It isn't all just traditional ways of business building economy. It brings people for your bars and your restaurants and your gift shops and, you know, coffee shops or whatever. It brings people together and wants to be in this village. So I guess I would echo what everybody, the majority, and I appreciate your efforts. I really do. It's not that development's all bad, but right on a narrow floodplain with all the zoning and in the St. Croix River, that isn't, as Rob said, best use, especially not over long-term and future for what citizens have voiced consistently. And in the new plan that's coming, it says that too. So like old plan says it, new plan says it, and constant civilian input and laws. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Beth.
Yes, hello again. Excuse me, I'm Dan Schmidt at 756 Summit Lane North. Excuse me. Excuse me again. Not to, beat too many issues that have already been discussed. We mentioned floodplain zoning. If you look at chapter 42 of the existing comp plan, that's where the information is in there and stuff that talks about avoiding, structures within floodplains, et cetera. There is a map in there. That's the information that I think all of us as a public rely on, that the village has provided. Yeah, there's FEMA maps also. That's related to, what qualifies for flood insurance and things like that. According to that, it's in the floodplain. What I will say is, having worked as a banker for over 40 years in my career, I lent money to people to develop property. I've seen how it works. It takes a business plan. People sometimes speculate on real estate, just like I might speculate if I bought a 2010 Toyota Corolla that I thought was a good deal, but my wife disagrees. But anyway, my point is, just because somebody bought something and they say this is what they want to do, doesn't mean, well, that should happen because it's private ownership. No, there's zoning. And zoning happens because it's what's best for a community, what's best for everybody. The reason the state statutes have something that requires municipalities to have a comp plan is so our cities and villages aren't willy-nilly thrown together by, who's scratching each other's backs. So, there is reasons for these long-range plans. There's reasons to follow these things. And I think it's really important that you look at that. Sometimes people make bad investments, and that's just the history of the world. So maybe there's somebody out there that will listen to this tonight and say, damn it, that should be a park. And I've got a lot of money, and I want to make sure that it's not a bad investment for Bruce Lenzen, and it happens. You know, like people have commented, there's many municipalities involved. This has literally been going on for generations. The interest in this property for public use, but yet because you have a whole bunch of people, different municipalities, different priorities, we don't have money for this, we don't have money for that, it just sits there and doesn't happen. But that doesn't mean, you know, it should be used for something else. And I really think, to reiterate, you got to look at what it is. It's literally almost an island. You know, to get to that property, you cross over a small dam. I don't know how you extend utilities there. The zoning says you shouldn't because it's in a floodplain. So I don't think that property should be approved for a change in zoning. And I'm referring to the south parcel, the 003 parcel. The north parcel's already zoned for an improved use. So I think you have to look at that as almost two separate things. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Sure.
My name is Bill Lynch. I live at 206 North Wisconsin Street, apartment 303. My apartment would be the closest to the proposed north rezoning districting. And from what I understand that the railroad property is contaminated and polluted, and I'm concerned about if you do any kind of construction or any kind of building there, that you're going to pollute the groundwater, you're going to cause soil erosion in the river and Lake Malibu. And I'm also concerned about the environment, the habitat, because I can go out and sit on my deck at night and I can see birds, I can see deer, I can see squirrels, I can see rabbits, I've seen coyotes, and I see the natural beauty of the river, and I enjoy the people fishing, I enjoy the people boating on the river, and I don't want to wake up in the morning and have to sit on my deck and look out at somebody living down below me that doesn't belong there, because it's supposed to be a natural environment, and we're destroying all the natural environments in this country, and before long there will be no place for the animals to live anymore. If you destroy all their habitat, where are the animals going to live? So I just feel that this is a terrible, terrible mistake, and it should never be done.
Thank you, Bill.
Bob Bradham, 306 Helen Street North. I'd just like to say that I'd like to see both sides, the north side and the south side, maintained in a conservancy and made available for park services. I think people would appreciate access on both sides of Lake Malibu, get access to the St. Croix River. I see a lot of people going down that area to fish from the river. And if there's a possibility of having a path across the Trestle Bridge, I think a lot of people appreciate that as well. And that could be a value for some of the local businesses, especially if there's a bike trail, get a lot of people coming through the village, and that could be a good benefit for the local businesses there. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, this is a quiz. What's my name? Jen Walter, 202 7th Street North.
Jen.
Yes, thank you. Bruce, we appreciate that you want to create homes for people. I think that's a good thing. But I do, like most of the people that have spoken tonight about this issue, think that it is not the right piece of property. I really like what this gentleman said. I don't remember your first name when you said, what is the highest and best use of this land? Well, I liked what both of you gentlemen said, but what is the highest and best use of this property? And I think that that has to lead the discussion.
So we're just one.
I think that the St. Croix River is a sacred place. And I think that we are really fortunate to live here. I realize that there are, if I'm understanding correctly, there's 4 different entities that own these properties, possibly now 5. But if this has been worked on for decades, let's ask the question, how can we get these owners to the table and what is the best and highest use of the property? And I think the idea of parkland and a bike trail and connecting North Hudson to Hudson, I just think is fabulous. You look at everything that has been going on around in the cities. This is an opportunity not to pass up. So let's please use it wisely and let's find other beautiful properties for Bruce to build on. So thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Tom the Wolf, 717 Summers Point North. I'm currently on the North Hudson Park Board. I've been on it for, I don't know, 10, 15, whatever it is. Back when I got on, they wanted to talk about this bridge, the railroad crossing. Somebody did some studies. It was going to cost at that time over $2 million to bring it back up to snuff. Because you're below water, it brings in a whole different group of people for engineering to get that brought up to snuff. That was X number of years ago. I can't imagine what it would cost now today to bring it up to snuff. Then you got to bring it up to ADA standards to get people across there to handicaps. And I'm getting to be that one of those people. So going as far as bike path, I don't see any bike paths going across there because the bikers do not spend money in town. They will drive through town, they'll stop at your convenience stores, they'll use their microwave, the bathroom, and will not spend any money. You get the people that, that rally, motorcycle rally that Sandy puts on, that brings over 10,000 bikes a year. And she's got to pay money to have that brought in, but that's another thing. The water runoff. You're talking about water runoff. We've got our city engineers got, a charge now because we've got so much driveways and runoff off our roofs. They're charging us for that. Well, what are you going to do when you do up there on the highway up at that new property? Not yours, but it all runs down into that Summers Landing Park, and that's supposed to have been a detention basin. And now we've got a pickleball courts in it. We've got tennis courts in it. That's not what it was designed for. So anyway, let's just think about this whole thing. Bikers do not spend money in town. It's a nice moniker to hang your hat on, say, oh, with the bikers and everything else. No. There's too much of that going on, and we don't charge taxes or license for any of these motorcycles or the bicycles. So where are we going to generate the income off this? There is none. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd.
It's Mary Beth again, 210 7th Street North. But I just want to say I thank you for your Park Service work and everything else. And the trestle is a difficulty, that bridge, and it would have to be done with grants. It obviously isn't something this village would ever take on. It would have the 4 communities to do that, the municipality. But I think it's not a fair statement to say bikers don't. Bikers come in many kinds, and it's walkers too, and it's joggers too. And there's families with bikers, and you see the little things, and they stop for food and everything else. So I think that if you look at the other bike paths around, like the one in La Crosse, in whatever, people come to a lot of different things because it brings families, because it's not just a bike path like speeding bikers. This is for those people who want to stop at the river. They want to bring a picnic. They want to walk. They want to do that. So I think to just say straight out it won't bring any people, that's not a fair statement. Though it's true about some bikers who are just out to go as fast as they can through. That's a different thing. But that really isn't what this park is designed for. So I don't mean to be disputive, but I think that's too sweeping of a statement, I guess.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Anyone else? Anyone else?
One more.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm Michelle Drevnick again, and my brother and I own the Lake Malibu Apartments, which is adjoining the property that we're talking about getting rezoned or not. And I would just like to make the statement that it's a narrow piece of property. I think it's 110 feet wide. And our property, our garage, our building there goes right up to the lot line. I know there probably should have been some setback, but it was built 50 years ago. So there's nothing to do about that now. So anyway, I think it would be disruptive to our tenants in our apartment buildings to have industrial buildings built right next to this area. At one time, we were interested in purchasing that property, but we don't want to buy that bridge. And I still see the bridge as a big liability to whoever owns it. And so there's a big question there about that bridge. I could see, maybe it's $2 million or $1.5 million to repair it. Or what about taking it down? How would they do that? They would have to have barges under the bridge to collect the debris. I don't know how they could even get barges in there because there's only one landing that I know of for Lake Malibu. So several of our tenants have expressed to us that they are not in favor, including you. Thank you. So.
Thank you, Ms.
Mm-hmm.
You going up there, sir?
It'll pick you up.
Bill Lynch again, Lake Malibu Apartments. I just want to agree with what Michelle said. Lake Malibu Apartments are a beautiful place to live. We have a great environment. We have a view of the lake. We have a view of the river. It's very quiet. It's a nice place to live. And it should stay just the way it is now. Because, like I said, our little friends and animals and birds need some place to live.
Okay, I'm gonna take a couple more. We're gonna close this down. Sure.
Thanks, Tim. I'm going to be real brief here. I just want to say, I think everybody on the planning commission understands this, but just so everybody has the right context, you know, there isn't a plan or there's no way to make a park now. The trestle property belongs to Bruce. The property connecting to it on either side belong to Bruce. So the zoning decision isn't about, does there become a park or not? So I just think we want to make sure we're keeping things in the right context of what the decision is.
Yep,
So,
I agree. Thank you, Dan. Okay.
Make a motion to close the hearing?
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against? All right, we're back to us, people. Let's discuss. So, in this instance, we've had a lot of information given to us. I think Mr. Lenson's been in front of the board presenting his plan. And he has submitted quite a bit of information for us as far as both the north and south parcels. So, I'll open up for discussion to anyone.
I see a matter of inconsistency, as Celeste brought up, as being front and center in my mind in terms of making a decision, in terms of rezoning. There's also, equally, I guess, important is I see this as a matter of us, if we were to approve this, contributing to environmental degradation. I think that's a significant issue that we're dealing with. Then third, I don't understand how you would want to build homes on a floodplain. It seems simply straightforward. We don't do that.
Okay.
I guess I got one thing to say. I guess on both the north and the south. The south, I don't think it's feasible at all. It just goes against everything. But the other thing is we do not have the county here. We do not have Hudson here. Although this was public, were they notified? But we don't have the DNR here. This is all too close to all of that. And I don't see how we can make any kind of judgment ourselves, even though it's being brought to us. I can't see that we can make any kind of judgment without having input from these other entities.
You received a letter on your table there that the City of Hudson met this afternoon, and they made no comment on rezoning.
Yeah, they did,
The
yep.
Village North Hudson Planning, yep. So their
Okay,
answer
yeah.
was no comment.
Yep, Hudson made a no comment.
But duly noted. Anyone else? Go
I
ahead.
guess I'd just like to say, again, you have some options. And the other thing I think that you can consider here is you're looking at two different parcels. And I think they're both unique. The one in the south, we're talking about floodplain and that. The one in the north, I think, is totally different. And it is surrounded on both sides by multifamily development. So I don't think you have to consider the two of them as one package. You could pick and choose. The other thing to remember, and it was brought up, and it's true, that to rezone in Wisconsin, the rezoning has to be consistent with your comprehensive plan. That's a state statute, and your comprehensive plan you're going to approve soon. You're looking at it right now. So you have to follow your comprehensive plan in terms of rezoning decisions. So just keep that in mind.
I have a couple of comments. I think it's great with the public input this evening and the amount of interest in preserving and keeping some green spaces in our community and area. For probably 50 years, I've been down fishing at the dam, and it's a bit of a no man's land free-for-all down there now. Poor road conditions, no garbage upkeep, little law enforcement, more non-resident fishing and activities and beer drinking and everything else down there than anything else. Kind of a bit of a forgotten zone. Everybody had a kick of the can to buy this land, including the village, including the county, including the city, including the associations and bike coalitions.
I even spoke to St. Croix County, they were willing to match half the funds to buy it with the Village of North Hudson. Turned down. So here we are today when Bruce steps up and buys it. And we're in a predicament because Bruce could mark it no trespassing and shut it down forever. No access on the south side for anybody. Which I think would be sad. There's stipulations with his development or deed with the railroad that Bruce would have to clean up environmentally the entire site before he could develop it. Who else would take that on, potentially? We talk about all the improvements and environmental hazards. He can't build a house or anything without environmental cleanup. I think Paul made a good point. There's 2 parcels, north and south. He's free to do industrial use on the north. The zoning says it can be. That would be a harder use than multifamily, in my opinion, more intrusive. So, kind of a sad situation where we're in today on the land overall.
I mean,
Bill.
Yep, that was a great point. And I would like to address the trash issue on that south area. I've literally filled trash bags of trash that nobody in with, you know, I appreciate the concern of the environment, but who in here has walked that property on the north and have just looked at all the trash in there? Why is there trash there if we're so concerned about keeping this an environmentally safe buffer zone? There shouldn't be any trash in there. Every one of us can go down and pick up trash, but we're not. Potentially, this gentleman could clean that up and have usable access to it where there wouldn't be any more trash and fix the erosion and the infrastructure that's dilapidated. If we leave it, it's going to get worse. Potentially, you know, could be cleaned up. That's all I got. I feel for that piece of land because it's a landfill. I picked up boards with, you know, nails that people put in that road, so.
Thank you.
Yep.
Tim, anything?
Kind of reiterating what he's saying, I've been riding my bike up there since all this started to see what's going on up there. I see Minnesota people fishing. I see trash. I've seen abandoned cars, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, well. And I think on the north end, I'd rather have houses than a manufacturing facility, a welding shop or something, because it's zoned to be able to do that right now.
Thank you.
What does it take to, if we wanted to vote on this separately and divide these? What is that? Does that take anything, or just this committee saying?
You're a recommending board, so you're gonna recommend to the village board, and you could recommend denying the zoning on the southern half and approving the rezone on the north half.
Yeah, I think my only comment is that we've got more information in front of us than we ever had before when coming to some of the decision with the planning commission. And he's taken on a huge responsibility here if this, you know, whatever we pass here, a huge responsibility. And totally agree with you. There's been multiple years people could have bought this, and it wasn't, nobody did. It's unfortunate. But I think we need to come to a decision tonight because at this point, he's been in front of multiple boards already talking about this, so we have to have some type of recommendation that we pass up to the village board. So I'll recommend, I'll entertain a motion by anyone at this point. Do you want to make any more comments, Paul?
No, I just, you have to be aware of what your comprehensive plan says.
Yes.
And you're gonna rezone.
I think that's why we need to make sure that we vote on either the north and the south, because does seem that we would be going against our comprehensive plan on the south. So we definitely should motion to divide this and vote on them north and south. The north property, that can be done. I mean, again, we've had all these years, all these ideas were great, and then it's fallen to the side. And I know why a municipality wouldn't pick it up. It's expensive. We have enough parks already in North Hudson. We don't have enough funding to keep them up to the standard that people in neighborhoods would like to see them. And maybe that's why the village never took it on. And even with county help, it's a giant liability. And to have somebody come in and take something on like that, but I do say that we have to look at our comprehensive plan. Those things are very clear, but the north and the south are totally different.
You want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to recommend the zoning change to the board.
Okay.
Just as is, not two separate, just straight out.
As is.
Okay.
As
It's not, in my opinion, it's not, breaking it up is just kicking it down the road like everybody else has. We either make a decision if we're gonna do something with this or not do something with this, and let the board make the final decision. The board makes the final decision. All we can recommend is that they do something. We can't say, what we say is gospel, and that's what they're gonna do, okay? They may decide they wanna do something else, and that's their decision. But based on the information that we've given, we've got somebody who wants to clean up the environmental mess that's there. Potentially, you could put a welding fabrication shop on some of that property right now, and it's perfectly zoned to do that. And I don't think anybody wants that, okay? The area on the south end, you go over there, as several people had mentioned, you got debris hanging around, you've got a lot of different things. Something's gonna get fixed, something's gonna get done. Many people have stated it's been kicked down the road for 20 years. Let's make a decision and move on.
Okay, motion on the table in a second.
I'll second.
Okay, more discussion. Again, this planning commission is a volunteer position that has been appointed by the village, that the village board has, our elected officials. With any request, we collect, research, and make the recommendation to the village board. Our only decision here is a recommendation. I strongly encourage you, as it proceeds on to the next step, you know what meetings you'd have to attend. With that said, we're gonna do an individual call. Roll call, please. Rod?
Present.
No, I'm sorry. Is it gonna be yes or no?
Yes.
Bill?
No.
I'm gonna go yes. Jared?
Yes.
Randall?
No.
And Candace?
No.
All right, so what we have is a 3-3 tie, I believe.
You didn't ask me.
Huh? Oh, and Timothy. That's right, I apologize, I didn't maybe check you off.
Yes.
And it's a yes. So we have approval yes for ordinance zone changed from industrial commercial conservancy to low-density multifamily residential zone. Okay, with that said, that closes that. Item number 12 was routine business. Anything else from the planning commission? Okay, item number 13 is adjourned. Thank you everyone for attending. I appreciate all your input. Apologize, Tim.
Go ahead.